Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Crystallized Experience. Really quickly, I just wanted to speak with you because ever since I did the last vlog, it's a word that I said or a statement I said that has been with me all day. Like literally, as I've been at work, it's been with me all day, and I said I needed to speak about it because it won't leave me alone. And it is such a big thing for me, and I know it is for you, but I'm be very honest with you. I've recorded this video about an hour ago, and when I recorded it, I went in a different direction. Well, in the middle of the video, it cut off. Well, I said, oh, that must not be what God wants me to say today. And so I stopped, gave way to the Spirit, took some time, and actually both my children FaceTime me. And then I started reading on Facebook. And there was something that was discussed on Facebook by a young lady who has two small children. And I said, okay, there it is. Well, I want to talk about the empty nest syndrome. I am now at the point of I have a senior in college and a junior in college. So my emptiness syndrome or emptiness experience happened a couple of years ago, and it happened in the midst of other things that were going on in my life. And it was so profound that I went into a pretty tough depression. I was depressed surrounding it, and I ended up back on meds for a minute. Not necessarily just because of that, but it definitely had something to do with it because everything was happening at the exact same time. Well, the reason why it was interesting what I read just a minute ago was because that's where it begins. You have these two toddlers, and they are inquisitive, and they are in everything, and your whole world is wrapped around what they're doing. And for the next 18 years, you literally have engulfed yourself in whatever it is they like, love, want to do. Right now it's TikTok, so mamas and daddies and family members and whole family, grandmamas, everybody getting over into TikTok because the babies love TikTok. Well, back then it was Mickey Mouse Playhouse, and I can't remember what was necessarily the thing that was going on, but it was whatever they wanted to do. Whatever they wanted to do. Disney World, dance. If they wanted to go outside and we do popsicles in the park and everybody shows up, we did it. And so what happens, and what I now, because I have learned that we learn in reverse, what has happened is I realized that the entire time that I've been raising my children, I completely stopped my life. Now, makes no sense based on the fact that I got married twice. I had multiple jobs. I do all kinds of things, right? But truthfully, the things that I did still centered around them and how I could care for them and what was best for them. I've sacrificed myself many times for many people, but nothing like I have sacrificed myself for my children. What we do when those children are little, and when we look into those little beautiful brown eyes, green eyes, blue eyes, whoever's eyes, when we look into those big old eyes, us. And they look at us like we are absolutely superheroes. You can't tell me I don't have a cape. You can't tell me that when one of those kids looks at me and says, Mama, this is what I want to do. Mama, this is what I need, that I don't turn into Superwoman. Because they didn't ask to be here. I made a choice. I made a life decision. And I plan to make sure that whatever decisions I've made, they don't have to be punished because of it. So, toddlers coming up, in love with their every breath. Their heartbeat made my heartbeat. If their heart stops, I don't know, y'all. I'll be fine. God is that good that He'll keep you even in that. And I know that there are parents who are going through that right now. So as I'm speaking, I understand grieving, as I have had to lay my sister to rest, who was my child. But honestly, them going off to school was like, it came out of nowhere to me. I literally was, from the time they went to school, they stayed home. They were home with me. They didn't go to school until it was time to go to kindergarten. So for my daughter, I let her do a summer at a Catholic daycare so that she could get some socialization and she could understand how to share and do better. Because they had been home and they didn't have to share anything. They didn't have to do anything. So I gave her summertime prior to going to school, and she did really well. Well, my son went straight from home because his sister was in school and she was coming home teaching him. Well, immediately upon taking him to school, he actually, his birthday is in the month of September, and it's 2 days before the cutoff. And so he was 4 years old when he started kindergarten. And his teacher immediately looked at him and said, hey, we're going to have to repeat him. I already know, baby, we can go and put him in school, but we're going to have to repeat him. And every 4-year-old that I get, I end up having to repeat him. Well, you know that it was my absolute mission to make her a liar. You're not going to repeat my child just because he's 4. Let me show you something. So, he worked and did kindergarten work. No, he did first grade work just like it was his kindergarten work. So, by the time he graduated kindergarten, he was the top of his class. His teacher came to me and she said, oh my goodness, like, he's so smart. I was like, duh. You thought he was going to be dumb? No, honey. You don't know. You lit a fire underneath me when you predestined him to be put back into kindergarten just because his birthday was later in the year. So ever since that moment, before that, but ever since that moment, I have been on like this crusade with my children. And so you get so wrapped up in being whatever it is that they need that you don't really look at all the days that go by. Mamas, daddies, stop and take in each and every one of these days. You don't get them back. You don't get them back. They're so precious. By the time kindergarten is over and we start the number grades, the bad boys go by so fast. And when you start talking about LEAP and all these different tests that they have to take, it's like, hey, I need you to get it. And so I was a very strict disciplinarian and very strict on academics. We didn't do C's. If you did a C, that was basically an F in my house. If you did a C, then you can run me all them devices. You can run me everything that you think is happy in your world. You can run it to me if you come to me with a C. And I'm talking about a test grade C. I'm not talking about a grade on a report card. You come on with a grade on a report card, we're going to have a full-fledged sit down. We have to understand, because if we got that far and I didn't know we got that far, then I missed something and now I have an issue, because you should not have had that much time to get a C and I didn't know. Then I missed something. So we're going to go talk to some teachers. We may even have to call the principal in, because we don't do C's. We don't do C's in general, period. A C was like an F. In my house, you can't say the word can't. It's an absolute, that's like cursing. Can't is you can. Now, whether you decide to or not, those are two totally different things. Now, that's just the way I ran my house. There's absolutely nothing that they can not do. They can do it if they put their mind to it, and if it's for them. But what we're not going to do is play like you can't. So we couldn't bring home C's, and you can't use the word can't. That's me. We had to eat together. We've always eaten at the table together. It was a very, very big deal growing up, as they were growing up, that we ate together every night. And devices were gone. We had to have conversation. I want to speak to you. I want you to tell me if your friends are around. I want y'all to tell me all about what's going on. So I'm all in the kids' business. So we done got to junior high, and I'm all want to know who did what and who said what. And oh, girl, no, James, what? I'm all in it. Get to high school, it's football games, it's dance, it's homecomings, it's proms. We 100% in awards programs, where we already understand that we're going to the awards program. We don't have no other choices to go to the awards program, because you're going to get an award. And if you ain't getting an award, you need to tell me how and why you didn't get one, because we don't do C's. So you get to the end of all of this and you hit a wall. Boom. Graduation. Man, graduation hit me so hard. It came up out of nowhere. It was like divorce, death. Wait, they both gone? Pack and Jamila was like, it was surreal. And remember, I told you I was really hard on them, so I had made them so independent that they already knew what they needed for college. She pushed me. So remember, I told you that the teacher becomes a student. So after I had pushed her so long, she turned on me. And when she turned on me, she came back at me harder than I ever came at her. And I was like, and at the time that she came back at me was during a depressed time, which God always provides a ram in the bush, right? So when I did not have what I needed, He provided my children to push back at me what I had given to them, right? Many days I've apologized to my children for being as hard and harsh towards them, but they have even stopped me and said, Mama, you don't have to apologize, because you made us who we are, and we are strong. We're gonna be okay. You don't have to worry about whether we're gonna do what we need to do in school. We want to be successful. So at the time that I was at one of my lowest, my daughter turned to me and was like, hey, you're gonna have to get up. Who was you talking to? A ram came to me on the side of my bed and looked me dead in my face. The little bitty baby that looked up at me and needed me to do things for her. She's always had more courage than me. She's always been courageous. One day I'll tell you a very intimate story about a 5-year-old who saved my life. and she even changed her daddy's. She had more courage in her little 5-year-old body than I had in my whole 25-year-old mind. She stood up in the middle of the floor and declared what was not going to happen. You will not do that. Not in here. And that's when life changed. We'll talk about that one day. But she's done it over and over and over and over. She's had to come to me and say, hey, that's enough. You're going to make yourself sick. That's enough. Even when she went to college, as we put her things in her dorm room, as we made sure everything was done, she said, Mama, I'm okay. You can go. That was tough. For her and I worked about an hour away from her school, so I would have to go through the city. I worked about 2 hours away during the time period that she went to college, that she left to go to college, and so I didn't have as much detachment because I still was going to go through that city almost 3 to 4 times a week, and I could see her all the time. I was actually seeing her way more than I probably was seeing her when she was at home. But when my son left, they both left. And when I came home, now my son left, it was a totally different situation because my sister had recently passed. And so we were grieving, and I sent both of them off. And so I think I cried more about leaving him 30 minutes down the street than I did about anything, just because that year that we spent at home was so precious. He and I spent a lot of time together. We talked a lot. We did have some communication issues where he actually left and Wednesday was there for a little while, and I would know when he was gonna do it. He'd come out of there with that big old suitcase because he was mad at me, and we had a silent conversation. It was very silent, and he was very. I never denied them to go to their fathers. Anytime that they wanted to go to their fathers, there was never you can't go, you have to go on this date. We didn't do that. We did that early on, but as they got older, all that stuff went out the window, and it was just, your dad lived right up the street. You can go to your dad's anytime, especially when they got their own vehicles, they could go as they wanted to go, and just let me know whether you staying here or at your dad's. Well, when he would come out of there with his big suitcase, because we had an argument, or there was a disagreement, something going on, and I would see the big suitcase, and he'd be like, I'm going to daddy's, and I'd be like, okay. And he would call, he would check in, and what I would even notice is he would come by the house during the day and check in on me, and I would just see little things move, and then he would be gone. And so finally he would come back home. So we learned a lot about each other, especially like I told you, we went to counseling, so it worked really well. But when he moved out and I had to go home to an empty house. Now, my house has always been Big Mama's house. When I went home and there was nobody there, you talk about the silence was deafening. I ended up only using my bedroom, kitchen, and washing room. And so my house kind of died for a little while. Like the living room lights, I never turned them on. Dining room lights, didn't go over to the other side of the house. I even brought I had a whole office. I brought all of my stuff out of the office and made an office in my bedroom. And so I literally did not leave my bedroom. It was this little square. I would come in out of the garage, go to my bedroom, kitchen there, washroom right there. My bathroom was in my bedroom. Did not have to go out. Somebody could have been living over on the other side of my house, and I would not have known. I used my back patio and my garage. That was it. Until they would come home. And I just want to speak to the mamas that are acting like y'all excited because them babies gone. But it's some dark days that happen, some low days, some daddies that say, "Oh, they'll be okay," but they go through it too. They miss those kids because when you put your all into somebody, and then all of a sudden, you've completed your task. You completed your task. You're supposed to say yay, but your heart says, "Oh Lord, what now?" Well, I'm gonna tell you what now is. You. That's when I realized it was time for me to do me. I had no clue what that was because I had been running with them the whole time. 20 years of running with them. That's all I wanted to do, was know what they needed and make sure they had it. So what do you do after 20 years of literally pouring into somebody and you've done your job? It's not over. Don't get it twisted. It's not over. But what do you do when you have to come home and there's nobody to come home to because everything is gone? Everybody has progressed. You did what you were supposed to do. You taught them what you were supposed to teach them. You got them across the stage. Now they're on a higher education. What do? You focus on you. There were some things you possibly put on hold while they were growing. There were some things that you neglected for yourself while they were growing. There was some stuff you accepted that you did not deserve while they were growing so that they could live. What you do after them 20 years is change things up. Time to shake that shaker. Fix it. Dig in deep. Self-care, self-love, acknowledge what you want and what you need. Listen to God and let Him love on you. Spend some time just in His presence and learn yourself again. I didn't even know what I really liked to eat because it was whatever they wanted to eat. And especially when I was married, whatever my husbands wanted to eat, I didn't. What you gonna eat? I don't know. I ain't have anybody tell me what they want to eat, so some days would just go to bed and not eat because I don't feel it. Cook for who? Just me? For what? Especially if I was broke. There's so many things that happen. Depression happens. You don't know what to do when you are not able to actually be a part of their life, and you have to let them go so that they can learn who they are. If you keep them too close, then they end up living your life. If you don't let them learn their own life, then what will they do when you're gone? See, I did it in reverse. I was so worried about being gone that I prepared them so much for me not being gone. I didn't even actually put into them, what if I'm here? They're so independent, and I'm so proud. But I never thought about what was going to happen after they left. That was never a part of the plan. It was always a part of the plan because that's the whole push, the 12 years. Push, graduation. But there was no plan for the day after graduation for me. Many a days I pulled in my garage and sat there and prayed because I was going to have to go in that dark house by myself. Take some time and enjoy your children. Live in each and every moment. Live in each and every laugh that they have. All of the different things. My son loved meteorology, and we would go outside and do telescopes. My daughter was over into dancing and singing and doing her thing, and whatever it is they needed to do, whatever it is that they wanted to do, I did it. Do it. But also remember, There'll come a day when it'll just be you, or it'll just be you and your spouse. Take time to always give to you and your relationship. Give to God, because when they're gone, which is the whole reason why he gave them to us, is to give them back to him, right? They're not ours to keep. Nobody is. Everybody belongs to him. What do you do with you when you've done what you're supposed to do? Thanks for listening. Y'all be blessed. Hey, listen, don't forget, moments, not days.